Hey, welcome to Fluketronic. Up now we're going to do a production log of this track I recently posted called Inner Nature. Now this track was selected as the winning entry in the 2023 contest by the Native American Flute Musicians group on Facebook. It won for the category of Best Flute Ensemble. So this was songs that had more than one flute in them. So I had a question come in before the contest, or while it was still being judged, to talk about some of the production techniques in it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through the composition of the track, audio production and recording, and then the video. So I'll give you links down below. If you're interested in particular sections or want to skip over other sections, that's perfectly fine. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start on the PC here, and I'm going to, first of all, talk about composition. All right, so where did the inspiration for this come from? Get this guy out. So this is the inspiration flute. This is the Lake Spirit flute from Werner John. This is an extended range and extended technique flute. So it's got an extra hole on the bottom for your pinky, and it has a back hole that lets you do some extended fingerings and techniques. So what I wanted to explore with this track was, what can I do with that extra pinky hole and some of the extended range? So, so to do that, I have to explain, as I mentioned on the channel before, that I think of Native American style flutes in the key of A. So an A minor flute, so 6 fingers down would be an A note. So this one has the extra pinky finger, so I would consider that as the note A flat or G sharp. So I was kind of thinking, well, what chords could I do to accompany that low A flat or C sharp note or G sharp note? So that's kind of where it came from, just kind of picking out different chords. And this is a chord progression I came up with relative to the flute. So you can see here the main key is the C sharp major 7 or D flat. This has been in a box, so I was just playing around with different chord progressions here. And I wanted it to be in a major key, so I picked C sharp major 7 as the kind of the main tonality, because that has a G sharp note is the 5th of that chord. So that's kind of where the initial inspiration came from. So that's C sharp major 7. The second is F sharp minor 7. So this would, if you're thinking in terms of the Roman numeral system, so this would be like your 1 chord and going to a 4 minor 7 chord. So that's a little bit unusual, but not too bad. And on the Native American flute, this is basically would be the relative major key of A major, right? And since I think of things as an A flute, then it basically gives me an A major scale from the what would be the second hole of this flute, but the normal bottom hole. So that's kind of natural. So I kind of go back and forth that a couple times. Then, well, what else can I do? What if I picked a major chord from that root note? So A flat major 7. And then I can go to an E flat major 7, also fits very well with that A flat. So if you're thinking, again, in terms of Roman numerals, if this is your 1 chord, this would be a 5 major 7. That's right. So that would be a 5 major 7, which is a little bit unusual to get a major 7 there instead of dominant, but that's it. And so you can go from the kind of the 5 chord up to really a 6 chord, really. Is that what that is? Kind of a 6 major 7, which would be kind of unusual, I guess, but fits with a flute. So that's where that came from. And then it moves to a B flat minor 7, which would be your second, right? If this is your 1, this would be the 2 chord, 2 minor 7. That's kind of normal. And then it segues back from that B flat minor 7 to back to the original progression of D flat or C sharp major 7. And that kind of is a natural progression because this would actually be the 6 minor leading back into the 1 major. So kind of started this just kind of picking around different chords that sounded good together. What it ends up doing is actually modulating back and forth. That wasn't really a design goal, if you will, but it just kind of happened. So it kind of modulates between this C sharp major and A flat major or G sharp major. All right, so that's kind of what it does, and that's essentially the composition. Now I composed this in Band in a Box and pulled over some MIDI tracks over into my recent session. So here is the kind of main audio production environment for this track, and I'm doing 4 choruses where a chorus is one each of both keys that you saw there in Band in a Box. So I've got a little intro section and an outro section. So the tracks that I kept from Band in a Box were the drum tracks. So the real tracks, drum track I kept from Band in a Box, and then I kind of threw out the strings track and repurposed some of the piano and strings and guitar tracks, kind of repurposed those back just into some a pad and an electric piano, kalimba and marimba. So those are way down in the mix, really. Just have a little backing bed. So I won't really go through details on those unless you want me to. So let me know in the comments if there's something there you want me to dive deeper into. But the main part of the track, so I wanted to have ukulele and ukulele bass or short scale bass as the main foundation of the track. So let's talk about that a little bit, how that evolved. So I've got, see here, this first track is called, Uke Mic, and if we can read that, it's pretty small. It says torrefied maple long neck P420 in section. So I recorded this kind of a guide track almost, just with a regular microphone, no video. In sections means I just recorded it in sections and kind of comped them together. So that was the kind of the starting track. Yeah, that was kind of it. So that was the starting point. As soon as I had that and kind of mixed all those together, I had a kind of a basic backing track to play everything else to. And we'll kind of go through, come back to this after we jump to the video and kind of explain where that came from. Yeah. So let's jump over to the video. All right, so here we are in the video editor. My video editor is LumaFusion. You can see I've got a number of video and audio tracks here. Audio really is just a couple. Yeah, I did a couple of different mixes and then just picked the bottom one there. So in terms of video, I've got a kind of continuous backing track here, or backing video there. Is that kind of, I have to put it in the back here. So I had captured this tree shot just from my backyard. And between all these little ones, and I've got, whoops, don't do that. And kind of in between, I've got these little captured videos of just various shots around my yard. So I'm kind of going back and forth between those little short shots and that kind of background tree view. So that is, just kind of a basic video edit there, just fading in and out, nothing too special going on there. For the instruments, so what I did here, and let me go into this first flute track and turn off some of the effects. So if I turn off the green screen and the blue screen, so what you'll see here, my original intent for this was to do some playing outside. And so I had this blue shirt on and I was going to basically blue screen that out to be able to see the outside through the shirt. So that was kind of the intent there, to play into this theme. And the day that I had for recording the flutes, it was raining, so that was just no way to do that. So I had to record all the flutes and the instruments inside. So I had it against the green screen, and my initial thought was, well, I'll just blank out the green screen and just have that. But I had the thought to combine the two ideas and say, well, what if I just do the blue screen as well, so I can show through that background video. So that's kind of where that came from. Actually, the name didn't come in, I didn't have a name for this track until I came upon that idea. So for the longest time, I was just calling it, you may see it here somewhere. No, you don't see it on LumaFusion. But the LumaFusion project was just called Native American Flute Musicians Contest for the longest time. So that's kind of where that technique kind of generated the name, and then I just did that for all the tracks, right? So you've got the primary Lake Spirit flute, and then put in two more tracks. So there's a small high C sharp Native American flute from Jimmy Davis, and then in the middle here put in kind of a harmony track with the low A bass flute from Brent Adams. So that's where the ensemble came in, was with all three flutes there. And then you can see also the ukulele track and the bass track on the top there. Now, let's talk about how I did the recording. So I was recording to video here, obviously, to capture each of those tracks. At the same time, I was capturing those back in my audio session. So the video camera was about probably about a foot away, maybe 2 feet away, and the audio microphone was behind that, so maybe 3.5 feet. So I was basically getting two different views, if you will, of the audio. So let me go ahead and switch back. Okay, so let's pop back over to the audio session now and see what's going on. So as I said, I had recorded this ukulele guide track probably a couple of weeks before I was able to do the video recordings. Okay, so let's talk about this, the Uke2 mic and mic video. So what's going on there is I had the same microphone that I did before, but it was much farther away, right? So I was capturing, so this is actually what was captured in the video. So what you'll see on the video is this particular track. I also had the video camera capturing that as well. So that was a stereo track. The other one was a mono track. So now I basically have 3 ukulele tracks going on here, and I kind of mix those together to get, you know, a little bit better stereo picture. And since this one was done first, that actually gives a bit of a double tracked effect. So if you listen back to the track, you can hear some parts that aren't in sync with the video, and that's this first one. So that's kind of that double tracked technique there. Timbre bass. So this is one take with video. So for this one, I actually recorded direct timbre bass direct into my audio interface. It looks clipped, but it's not really. It's just a effect of the view I had on there. So for that one, what you're seeing in the video is actually the only one I recorded. So that will be exactly in sync. And then for all the flutes, again, I had 2 takes of that. I had the microphone take, kind of a longer distance microphone, and then the video, a little bit closer video. So again, I'm kind of mixing those two together. Let me switch over to the mixer view. What was I doing here? Yeah, you can see I'm actually doing here the flute mic and then the video mic are panned left and right of each other. And those are going into a flute bus to add some effects and so forth. You can see the same thing here for the ukulele tracks. They're panned a little bit left and right. And the bass flute, same way. When I got to the high C sharp one, I actually made a mistake there. Jump back down here. Yeah, the high C sharp. So, oops, only captured on video. So I somehow neglected to turn on the far mic for that. So the only thing I had available was the video take. That's okay. All right, so that's essentially where all those tracks came from. Anything else interesting here? Well, there are a few effects going on. Okay, so there's the high C sharp. Really just basic effects, denoise and compressor. What I was trying to show you was a different effect there. So you'll notice when it first comes in, yeah, and that's this one. So this one has an echo effect on it here that only comes into play right there. So that first, when that high flute comes in, it has a pronounced echo effect for a few bars, and then that gets cut off to do echo on and echo boost. So there's a little bit of automation there to bring in that hard echo effect. That's about it, really. There's a couple of reverbs going on here. So I've got a hall reverb that the flutes and ukulele are going into. All of the backing tracks had their own kind of reverb built in, so those aren't really getting anything extra there. Okay, beyond that, I think the mix is fairly straightforward after that. Let me know if there's something else you want me to dive into. There's a few automation lanes here for boosting certain parts, that were too quiet. But other than that, kind of straightforward mix. Okay, so I think that's it. As I said, if there's anything you want me to go into more detail, just let me know and we'll see if we can do that. Otherwise, I hope this was useful for someone. And yeah, thanks for your support at Fluketronic, and we'll catch you next time.